yeah, y'all want to talk about the new AI PCs that are coming out? What is the Qualcomm with Copilot Plus? I went to Best Buy the other day, and there's posters everywhere for the new Qualcomm AI PC, the Microsoft ARM venture with Copilot, and it has some kind of NPU built in to the chip, and all the reviews I've seen, these so Microsoft is being very careful about who it gives laptops to. Like you have to sign NDAs and stuff that you won't release reviews. But the reviews have been coming out anyway and saying basically they're giant pieces of shit, these new Copilot PCs. And I like that. I'll admit, I'm petty. I like that shit.
Well, guys, I'm running down. I don't know about you guys, but it sounds like this AI discussion could go all night, and I'm just running out of gas.
Well, I'm not actually Eric. I'm an AI model. Yeah.
Honky invented a stable diffusion video of Eric, backed by
That's right.
a Copilot PC.
That's it.
So, I am not a robot. I am a human. Good night, Netminer.
Night, Netminer.
Good night, Netminer.
Good night, and give my best to Elle, Jackie. Damn, haven't seen HP. Haven't seen Lovecraft here, but good luck, Lovecraft. God bless all of you, and I'll have to say good night. Good night.
Good night, Netminer.
Good night.
Good night.
So if you look
what is a Copilot PC? I thought Copilot was that thing that works with GitHub.
It
takes everything from GitHub and.
Microsoft has renamed their AI to Copilot Plus. What was it before? Bing
Cortana?
Yeah,
Cortana.
Like Bing Chat.
Yeah. Instead of Cortana, now you have Copilot Plus. And so they did a deal with Qualcomm to output these Snapdragon Elite computers. And the big selling point was they are quote-unquote AI computers. I'll put a link in the
So what notes. The fuck is an AI computer?
So it's got a dedicated chip for running the AI processes. So instead of needing a really powerful GPU, it's like how a Pixel, Google Pixels have the TPU in them.
Right.
And it's basically just like a dedicated processing unit just for those types of operations. Like it's a chip that's very optimized specifically for running those types of operations very efficiently. So basically and it allows it to run locally. That's really the big difference. Instead of having to send all of your data out to the cloud and have it processed in the cloud and have that round trip to it. And also then supposedly security benefits of having everything be stored locally. If you've seen that like recall thing they were trying to put out there, where it was taking screenshots every couple seconds so that you could go back and search through like the activity on your computer.
Yeah,
I think
did
it
a big backpedal
awful,
on that.
But they rolled back on it quite a bit. But
so the deal with these Copilot PCs, anyway, the Snapdragon ones, is Qualcomm makes ARM chips. So people are buying these laptops and they're thinking this is just a regular laptop, but it has AI built in, so it'll be great. But the thing is, most of their applications run on x86-64, and they don't know the difference between ARM and x86-64, so there's an emulation layer in Windows 11 that's emulating x86-64 to run traditional applications and games and things like that. So you're getting either it doesn't work at all, or you're getting really shitty performance out of these applications because they're being emulated on the ARM chip to run as x86-64. And Microsoft wasn't forthcoming in telling people that hey, your favorite applications may not work on this PC at all, and if they do, they probably run pretty shittily. And that's what's been, so it has nothing to do really with the AI part. It's all that
NPU.
yeah, they're selling ARM laptops to people who think that they're just getting, they don't know the difference between ARM and x86-64, and they just think, oh, this is just a brand new cool laptop, but it has AI. But no, that's not what's happening here.
It's kind of like how Apple's M1 chip or M chips did the same thing, right? They took the stuff that would have worked on a traditional processor and had added this compatibility layer. But because the chips are so efficient and powerful, they're really pretty good at emulating and doing so in a way that is really not noticeable. And still has good performance and battery life and all of that stuff. And so that's sort of what they're trying to do with these Qualcomm chips, is do this same sort of thing. Like I haven't seen any videos or benchmarks or anything to see if it's as effective as what they've done, as what Apple's done. But that's really what Microsoft's trying to do. They're trying to like emulate what, I wasn't trying to be a pun, but they're trying to do what Apple is doing with the M series chips with Snapdragon and Qualcomm as their partner. So it's kind of fascinating to me that the ARM chips can be that powerful, because most of Snapdragon chips are in devices like this, where they're not, I mean, it's not like they're not powerful, but they're very specific to, again, like focused on, what a device like this needs to do, not general computing. And so it's going to be interesting to see like how those X series chips, if they even come close to what you see.
What happened to him?
On a note.
Oh, there he is.
You glitched out for a little bit. Now you're just frozen.
It's got to be the internet at his house if it's affecting both Jitsi and
Mumble. Yeah. Are you on a Copilot PC?
It was my internet. Just.
Oh, okay.
So one quick thought. With the anything Apple related, I mean, with the M series, all of that stuff. Once you get Apple, you're in Apple's garden anyways. Most people aren't buying stuff outside of.
Yeah, it's okay.
They can't get stuff from outside anyways. So they're not. It's not like people who buy a Windows laptop who goes and gets stuff, buys stuff either from the internet or tries to play games from somewhere else and tries to then play it on an ARM system. It's once you're in Apple, you're basically just getting from the Apple Store. That's it. So it's got to work for them. That's going to work flawlessly, because people don't buy a Windows computer and then go to the fucking Windows Store. Nobody uses the Windows Store. As far as I know, I don't think anybody actually uses the Windows Store. But the other thing is, I thought most AI things seem to be geared towards NVIDIA style GPU processing, right?
Yeah.
Like even you were talking about the LLMs would work better with NVIDIA and Stable Diffusion runs better on an NVIDIA. I don't know what Copilot would run well on. Well, the original version of Copilot was the thing that ran with GitHub, wasn't it?
Yes.
So they just kind of took that same name and just kept running with it and integrated it with Cortana.
Right. That's right. So they say that.
So why did they go from, instead of NVIDIA trying to go with something NVIDIA, go with Snapdragon ARM?
They want the thing is they want local AI on your laptop, but they understand that it sucks power like crazy because it's doing a lot of processing. So this new ARM CPU from the Snapdragon X from Qualcomm is, ARM usually is more power efficient, but it also has an integrated GPU that you're supposed to be able to use for gaming and stuff like that. So I think power was the big deal why they entered into a partnership with Qualcomm for this laptop. That's just my guess.
Yeah, I mean, So what I'm reading is this article is basically saying, even though GPUs are more specialized than a CPU, right? Because a CPU is just a general processing unit where it does a lot of different things, and it doesn't do all of the. It doesn't. The reason they've used GPUs and NVIDIA cards specifically for training is because they handle those computational things much faster. Because of, if you think of like creating real-time graphics in video games at high quality, high frame rates, like those pipelines and those processing, the way that it works is the computational stuff behind that is very specialized compared to a CPU. And then the NPU is sort of a step beyond a GPU, because a GPU is still sort of generalized around creating graphics content. Even though it's really good at that computational stuff, it's still more general, whereas an NPU is very specific to machine learning and AI and, you know, running those things. And like Danny was saying, like it's more efficient, so it creates less heat, uses less power. And, you know, when you try to stuff a powerful GPU into a discrete GPU into a laptop, it's usually a pretty poor experience because there's never enough cooling. It destroys the battery because it uses so much power. And so that's where these NPUs come in for especially laptops, that they can do the same things that a GPU does, but much more efficiently. And again, much more like specifically compared to the kind of more general nature of a GPU.
There's some pretty funny articles about it, about the new Copilot PCs, which are basically just laptops. I don't think they put the Qualcomm chip into desktops, but it says, why is Qualcomm trying to hide this? It says why? Again, their message is all about performance, and games not running or chugging badly isn't in line with this talking point. You can be sure all the commonly benchmarked games have been made to work, but the rest, got any older games you like to play? If you have a fast laptop that doesn't run many of your critical apps, how much is standby battery life worth again? How much claimed video playback time is your critical enterprise app worth? Is it worth $100 to play Russian roulette with your software? And don't get me started on drivers. Got any hardware that isn't brand new? A printer bought during COVID? Scanners? Low-level tools? Antivirus? Got a game with an anti-cheat thread? VPN? This stuff will break on the Qualcomm ARM PCs.
So they measure NPU processing capability in something called TOPS, TOPS. And I'm trying to figure out what that acronym actually
Trillion
means.
operations per second.
Okay. So, and so like Copilot PCs are rated, they need to be, I think, 45 as like their kind of base. But like, so Intel Core Ultra Meteor Lake CPUs offer 34 TOPS. And like, so they're using this new measurement of like TOPS as a way to like how many operations and then like how well a model will run, you know, based on it. And like to Danny's point, like he had this old gaming PC where, you know, it has this card where it's working like really hard to grind through, you know, his FAQ stuff or his stuff that he was putting in there. Whereas I think these chips, because they're so specialized, just would handle that more gracefully and certainly not smell like they were going to burst into flames. So, yeah. I mean, I'm curious to see, because like my experience so far has been on a, I think I have like a 2060 or something, but yeah, it's just an NVIDIA card, and it's fairly limited on, you know, performance and memory comparatively, because VRAM is really one of the bigger aspects of, like, it just needs a ton of memory.
Yeah,
compared to like a video game.
your model is actually loaded into your VRAM. That's why you need to have at least as much as the model, not to mention whatever else it uses, just for processing and stuff. But yeah, your model is completely loaded into the VRAM of your GPU.
So that it can access it. It needs to be in VRAM so that it can be accessed that quickly, or else it would just take forever. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see. I beyond the recall stuff that they were talking about, I really don't know what other advantage there is to having one of these Copilot systems. I mean, I guess they'll have things where maybe you can generate images locally, like a Stable Diffusion kind of thing, or maybe you can, I'm sure it'll be integrated into like Word, so you can have it help you write papers and things.
Clippy comes back?
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Clippy, right. Next gen Clippy. Could be. But I think it's almost like beyond the hype. I think it's almost one of those things where it's how do we sell more PCs? Like, how do we get people interested in buying computers?
Well, wasn't there a massive like Windows recall on all of their AI computers?
Well, the recall you're talking about was their feature called recall. That they,
I thought there actually was like an actual recall on
no,
their system.
Recall is what Eric was talking about earlier, where you, it takes snapshots of what you're doing every few seconds, and then I guess it uses OCR and things like that to tag the images, and you can go back and see what you did October 13th or whatever. But
it keeps a local database, and you're supposed to be able to like. I don't know. And I've heard some people say, oh, this would be a real benefit for me because I have a terrible memory. And I'd love to know, like,
what password I typed in.
Well,
I'd also like everybody at Windows to know it too.
Yeah. Well, what site I was using or what, I don't know. A lot of this stuff you can already sort of get to. Like, you have a history in your browser. If you go to a program and you say file, there's usually an open recent, and so it shows you recent files. I think a lot of this stuff already exists. It's just not as like security nightmare, invasive like privacy. I don't like. As soon as I heard it's going to take a snapshot of what you're doing every 2 seconds indiscriminately, and also use OCR and machine learning to be able to tag and index all of this stuff, and then puts it into a database that's not secured in any way, encrypted or anything on your system. Actually, it was using it previously. It had been using like Windows Hello, I think, is the way to it could only be open, and now it's using a different layer of it. Like it's not just the first sort of touch. It's actually there's a second request that it makes or something, and it's actually using an encryption layer now. There was so much immediate backlash of people like, no way in hell am I going to use this, because obviously, like the example I on Ars Technica in the comments was, oh, I see here you've been researching divorce lawyers and women's shelters and how do I get away from my abusive husband? We'll see about that. That sort of like situation where it basically, leads someone to be discovered, not for something nefarious, but for them trying to get away from an abusive person or something like that. And that might be like a less common thing, but still.
So I just pasted an article, and it gives kind of an overview. It says, hey, wouldn't it be great if we could use AI in Windows to help our users see everything they've ever done on their computer? It's a great pitch, and Recall kind of sort of achieves this, but the implementation is something rather different. Recall takes snapshots of all the windows on a Windows computer screen except the DRM media, because the MPAA must have their kilo of flesh, and saves them locally. The local part is good. The term for software that takes regular screenshots and saves them in the cloud is part of a remote access Trojan. It then OCRs any text in the images, and I believe also transcribes any speech and saves the resulting output in an unencrypted SQLite database stored in, and then it gives a Windows path. And there are already tools out there to slurp through that database and see what's in it, such as a tool called Total Recall. Surprise! It turns out that the unencrypted database and the stored images may contain your user credentials and passwords and other stuff. Got a porn habit? Congratulations. Anyone with access to your user account can see what you've been seeing. Use a password manager? Sorry. Your passwords are probably visible via recall now. So that was the big hoopla about the privacy aspect of it.
And that was the first touch when they first announced it. They have back and said, first of all, that you can completely disable it if you want. Secondarily, you can blacklist, I guess. All of this is really taking a very big leap of faith that Microsoft is going to do this the right way, and that it isn't going to be trivial to exploit it if, the wrong piece of malware gets on your system. I could see some kind of because of the way browsers have too much access to a Windows PC, just drive by on a website and somehow it's able to, find a vector to grab the data from your, I don't know. Computers should be easy to use. They should, we can continue to advance and strive to find new ways to make them easier to use and more useful in general. But that just seems like a terrible idea.
Yeah, it's gonna be taken advantage of.
Yeah. Even if it's not porn or anything nasty, who wants to, what if you got on some kind of weird YouTube kick and you were watching a bunch of I don't know, stuff that you wouldn't want your coworkers to know about or your boss, not
transparent try-ons.
Yeah, I'm sure corporate would love this feature on all your computers.
No, I can see it doing really well in the business sector, because I'm only supposed to do business stuff on my laptop, so I'm perfectly fine. They own it. They can put whatever the hell they want to on there, and I'm only going to do work stuff on there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want that crap on any of my home computers. Granted, I don't want Windows on any of my home computers, but...
Right.
Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now they have... Somebody put out a tool called Open Recall. I'll put a link in the show notes. That's it's open source and it's basically recall, except it's not Microsoft. So if you really wanted this feature,
I don't.
You could get this tool. I don't know if it's hosted on a server. I think it's just an application.
Yeah, not even if I'm in complete and total control of it do I want this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's too open for abuse. Yes, even if there's blacklisting and filtering and stuff, I just don't trust it. Because it's a keylogger. It's every horrible, terrible thing someone could do to you on a computer kind of rolled into one. And you can just imagine someone getting a hold of that and then having a ransomware, attack on people. Yeah.
So it looks like it does basically all the same stuff as Microsoft's recall. If you really wanted this, I do not want this, but...
Do you think Honky's going to fall out of his chair?
I think he's getting there.
He was listing there for a second.